Right, we have head UTSA women's basketball coach Karen Aston's weekly media availability the week of February 2nd, 2026. Last week, the Roadrunners split, taking down North Texas before falling to Rice. This week, they'll hit the road for a pair of contests against UAB and Tulsa. Coach, if you can start us off with an opening statement, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, I thought last week was a good week for our team. I mean, obviously, big win against North Texas, and then kind of equally disappointing against Rice. But it's just we're in the dog days now, and so you just have to turn the page and get to the next game. We leave today to go to UAB, and we need to be ready to play.
John?
Coach, what are you expecting to see from UAB? What challenges do they pose for your team?
Well, the first thing I would say is their record is not indicative of how they've played. They had a new team, and obviously had to find some chemistry and get used to conference play, so to say. But they had a big win against Wichita State on Saturday, and I think sort of just to get that one over with for them probably gave them a lot of confidence. I would think we'll roll into there with them feeling pretty good about themselves. And, they spread the floor, hard team to guard. And then on the other end of it, they're probably going to crowd it against us. So we'll just have to have some patience and try to put together a 40-minute game.
Yeah, Karen, I wanted to ask if I could just jump in. I wanted to ask a little bit more about the Blazers. I noticed on their roster they're carrying 13 kids, and 5 of them are freshmen. Teams like that, are they? Do you look at teams like that as sort of an evolving situation? I mean, they've obviously, Coach Norton has obviously recruited some talented kids. But maybe they aren't quite mature enough yet to play at this level right now, but maybe headed down the stretch they could be headed in that direction. Or have you noticed the youth of their team?
I mean, obviously, they're playing some kids like we are that are sort of being thrown into the fire, and I think that's sometimes why you ride a little bit of a roller coaster when you have young guys. I mean, the road is new to them. Everything about conference play is new to them. So, I mean, for a lack of better words, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, especially as they hit the midway mark. I think some of them get a little bit tired of the grind and can't really see the light. So you do sort of ride a roller coaster. I mean, I've been very impressed with their team. Their record is irrelevant to me because the way they play and how hard they've played and how hard they've clearly bought in. When you hear them talk about their coach and their team, I mean, they're very upbeat. They seem very confident. So, it's one of those things where, I really hope our team doesn't look at their record because, again, it's really irrelevant, in my opinion. The way they play is going to be a very tough out for us.
Sean?
I think it's probably what you hoped when you brought in a veteran leader, but how critical has Ariana Hardaway been to everything your team's done this year? And, has bringing her in really worked out the way you hoped it would be?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she definitely has given us the stability that we needed. As Jerry just alluded to, I mean, it would be tough to depend on a freshman point guard every single night. I think Adriana has done a very, very good job, and I think she's evolving also and learning. But bringing in someone with that type of experience and stability is exactly what we needed.
Coach, I wanted to ask a little bit about the your 3 leading scorers. I noticed in the last half dozen games or so the shooting percentages for Cheyenne and Ariana and Damara are down just a little bit, not much, but they're down just a little bit. Scoring averages are down just a bit. Are you how are you looking at that right now? Are you okay with they're obviously getting a lot of attention from opposing coaches in their scouting reports and whatnot. How do you see that right now? And is there a way to kind of get them back to to maybe what we saw in the first three conference games, or how are you looking at that right
Well, I think probably the first thing you would look at is in the last week we've played two of the top defensive teams in the league. So, they made it very difficult on our offense. They made it difficult for us to get, what I would call clean looks. And that's what good defensive teams do. And we have to find some ways to loosen up their coverage and give some teams some different looks. I think the other thing is some of our other players maybe have gotten a little bit of gun shy and need to stay aggressive. I think if you're unguarded and the ball has been reversed, or you can get out in transition and pick up some easy buckets for us, then that loosens the defense up a little bit. So I think there's several pieces to this that we have to look at as we go down the stretch in conference play, because it's not going to get easier. I mean, everybody knows what you do. Everybody scouts the same, and it starts to get, like I said, it gets into the dog days where you really have to execute at a high premium, and we have to do a better job of that.
Sean?
How beneficial, the schedule's a little interesting this year where you've got some Saturday, kind of Tuesday turnarounds. How do you think those kind of turnarounds maybe help prepare you for later in the season and when you get into tournament play?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to look at it if you want to spin it, is because I'm not a fan of this at all, but I think if you want to spin it, then you have to look at the tournament and say, okay, if you're going to win the conference tournament, you're going to have to win anywhere between 2 and 5 games in a row with preparation days prior to that. So I think that's a way to look at it. I've actually sort of changed midstream here my thoughts about practice, just because the end game is the conference tournament. And, I mean, obviously you want to get in for sure this year. That's a factor. But once you get in, again, you're ranging somewhere between 2 and 5 games that you have to win without any day of rest. So we might as well lace them up and practice on days that maybe before I might not have done that, but we're going to have to learn how to put some days together.
Coach, I wanted to ask, has that tournament format, the new one this year, has it been any kind of a point of discussion over the last week or so? I know it's kind of getting to the point where people are looking at the standings now and kind of figuring out where they're going to fall. Are you talking about that with your players, or do you just let them concentrate on their individual games and whatnot? What's your strategy on that?
Well, we talked about it at the very beginning of conference play when we sat down and talked about our goals. I wanted to make it very clear that they understood that. And then once you get into the grind of it, every few weeks, just because there are some that may not pay attention to standings and there are some that do a lot, you want to make sure you're educating. I don't want to leave some stone unturned that I didn't let them know. But it's definitely not something we talk about every day. I mean, by any means. We're looking at UAB today, and every few weeks we'll check in, talk about where we are, and that's really about it. I mean, you really have to stay locked in. In particular, I think this year the league is, obviously Rice right now is undefeated, and we all understand that. But if you look beyond that, anybody can beat anybody on a given night. That's been really clear. That records don't matter right now, and I think maybe some of that is a sense of urgency about the tournament, but some of it's just the parity in the league.
John?
Pretty special moment on Saturday during the game with a lot of the female student athletes from UTSA being recognized on the court. What makes UTSA unique and special about how it supports its female student athletes, and how much does your team appreciate when the other teams come out and cheer them on?
Well, it means a lot. I think that we preach a lot about the family atmosphere, and I do think that the athletes do a great job of supporting each other. Our players really like going to the other sporting events and supporting women athletes. And, I think that starts at the top. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I came to UTSA is I knew that Dr. Campos was committed to women's athletics and into making it a special side of the athletic program. And I think she stayed very true to that. And I appreciate that. And I know the other coaches do also.
All right, we'll close out with that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.